Hey guys, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee. And it looks like we got a working live stream without any problems on the 7th of March. And it's a Shabbat, Saturday, it's 8:35 in the morning. We're having a rather nasty day weather-wise. We're at 55 and the high. Oh, we're actually going to come out of it in a few minutes, a little while. Okay. Where are we going to get a high? A 67, I think. Um, yeah, that's not so bad. The sun should start coming out any minute. And in the afternoon, we're going to have full sunshine, right to sunset, and no more rain. Okay. So the rain is finished. Oh. So we're actually going to warm up a little bit in the afternoon, but unfortunately the house is going to be cold. So that's nothing to be done about that except warm the house up. Now, crazy thing is we're going to have sunshine again through tomorrow, low being 44, which is horribly cold. For us, that's like you guys in the Northeast getting 15 degrees or something. It's terrible for us. We're not set up for that. And a high of 64. And then Monday, we get more of that, but it goes down to 42 degrees. And then we get a high of 65. And then Tuesday, we got a low of 45, and then we come up to 70 degrees. And then Wednesday, it's cloudy, but no rain, and we come up to 74 degrees. Thursday, 74. And then Friday, we drop again to 68, and then we go back to 73. And then we go to 76 and stuff like that. And I'm very happy to not see any rain in the future anymore. I really think we've had a lot of rain. What I tell this to people, but if you're new here, probably 97, 99% of the houses in Israel are made out of concrete. And they have a concrete roof with tile, and they have concrete floors with tile. I don't ever remember all my years in Israel ever seeing a house with wall-to-wall carpet. I don't ever see it. I never saw it. People sometimes have drop rugs. We have some, but we don't use them too much. So the houses get really cold. And when it rains and the rain gets in the concrete, oh, you get the house. The houses are 10, 15 degrees colder than the street. It's terrible. I mean, I've got a big electric coil heater here, like 2.5 feet away from me, blasting me with heat. It's so freezing in here. And we got the wood burner going. And that tends to do good when you have a miserable day like this. But I don't think we're going to need the wood burner more than another 2 or 3 hours, because once we got the sunshine out again, it'll be okay here, I think. But what you really need to break the winter of the house is 3, but really 4 days of sunshine and temperatures where you're over 70 degrees. Then the house will actually warm up, and you won't, if you touch the floor, you think you're on an ice skating rink or something. That'll go away. All right. I'm sleeping with a big, thick blanket every night still. So maybe this will finally go away, When you get out of the summer, if you got a nice fall that's warm and lasts a long time, like 10 weeks, then you're not so happy to see the winter, because the weather's good. But if you have the fall is actually more of a summer, hot, dry weather, then you could actually start to enjoy the winter. But by the time you hit February, you don't want it anymore. And by now, man, this has gone into extra innings, you know. But I hope the rain doesn't come back anymore. We've had plenty of rain, and that will uh, definitely get us warmed up. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go through a detailed analysis of with you, okay, which is based not purely the way an army would look at it. It's more of a military slash social understanding of why you need a ground invasion. You might substitute that with a heavy insurrection that's supported by other nation states. And I'll explain this to you. I'll go through the history with you, with Saddam Hussein, with Libya, and all that, and show you why you really need this. So, and also the rotten Iranians know that this is necessary. And for probably 15, 20 years, they've fortified themselves to make a ground invasion extremely hard. And I mean that. I mean, when I say they've made it extremely hard, they had a lot going for them that they didn't do, like mountainous territories, and all you got to do is build your main highways near mountain regions where you can put troops with artillery and missile pods and shoulder-fired rockets and snipers and everything else inside a mountain that you can't blow out with a plane because it's under a few hundred feet of mountain, and you dominate that highway. There's a lot of vehicles that don't need a highway, but when you're moving food and goods and ammo and supplies and troops, you pretty much want a highway or a road. You don't want to, go on rough terrain like a tank can do. And then you got the risk of landmines. How many landmines do you think Iran built over the years? 3 million? I don't know. I would say at least 250,000, 500,000. They're crazy people. You need to understand the Iranians, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis in Yemen, the Iranian-backed militias. These are people that you find people like this in psychiatric hospitals for the criminally insane. I'm not kidding. And a lot of criminally insane people have a decent IQ or even a high IQ, but they're still insane. Okay? And what is their big liability? Their insanity. That's what does them in. Okay. We'll also get into some Bible prophecy today. I'll tell you more about what the Satan bot preachers are preaching. Surprisingly, they've picked up on Jeremiah 49 because they see it getting fulfilled. So they're preaching that. They haven't figured out that Edom is Yemen, i.e. the Houthis in Yemen yet. That's also in Jeremiah 49, but they'll figure it out in the coming days because Yemen gets it too. Okay, let me jump into the live stream. Make sure everything's working. Is everything working? Is everything working? Do I have my sound up or down? Let's see. Oh, my sound's turned down. That's why it's not loud. Okay. It looks like we're in good shape. Um, thank you, moderators. Um, sorry, but it's Saturday here in Israel. Just kidding, just kidding. But it is Saturday in Israel. Morning, it's the morning. All right, I'm going to put up a post in the chat, which is going to be seconds, not, minutes. All right, let me make sure I have no typos. I don't. Let me pin this. Okay, and I think we're good here. We're good. All right. Being a Bible believing site, I'm going to start with some praise and you could join in. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. So, let's go, before we get into the detailed analysis, let's get into the news, mostly regarding the war, and that'll keep you updated. Um, the thing that you need to know is that we're predominantly getting hit by Hezbollah now. And during the night, I hear in the distance iron domes going boom, 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 boom. So they're sending a lot of crappy junk ordnance in. I don't hear of anybody getting hurt or any damage, but it's really annoying. Okay, now the Hezbollah people are mentally ill. Don't kid yourself, okay? All right. Now we do have a prayer request. Let me get this prayer request out so I don't get involved and forget to do it. Okay? So I'll say the prayer, and then you guys that are believers can agree with it in B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, okay? My Heavenly Father, Jehovah, I submit this prayer to you, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, for SH, Sierra Hotel, SH Sierra Hotel. The prayer request is that this person is not able to access or purchase or get testosterone. And I submit this to you, my Heavenly Father, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. This is about a person that's confused and wants to take this hormone for reasons I don't want to say, but I'm sure you can figure it out. It's not bodybuilding, it's genderish issue. Okay. The Iranians gave us a 24-hour notice, and according to my calculations, time was up in the middle of the night. It was done on various social media, but I think on X, the old Twitter, they posted it in Arabic, which is very unusual because the Iranians are Persians and they speak Farsi. So they would normally post in Farsi or Hebrew and English, maybe. It's a little unusual. The translation went something like this. Those residing in the occupied territories, that's how they view Israel. You have only 24 hours ahead of you. After that, we will turn the land into pieces of hell. What awaits you after the deadline? Seize the opportunity now, because after the hour is up, we will bomb all the airports and not a single plane will take off. We will burn all the ships in the ports, and you will have no escape. I'm going to turn my heater down a little bit. Now, I don't believe this is, well, the time is up. It didn't get fulfilled, but I don't think it was real. But maybe. We have shattered your expeditions, and now we will turn your cities into dust. Escape routes only now. Ben Gurion Airport, leave immediately before we level its runways to the ground. But the runways are on the ground. Anyway, Haifa port to Cyprus and Greece. The ships will go up in flames after the deadline ends. Ashdod port, the last rescue ships are departing now towards the Mediterranean, 23 hours remaining. Okay, and I believe at about 2 in the morning, which would be about 7 hours ago, roughly, the deadline was up. Unless I calculated something wrong, but I seriously don't give this any credibility. If you came across it, it's unlikely the Iranians did this because they would do it on television. They would make announcements with a video. This is some nasty person who sympathizes with them. And I would say is probably under 21 years old. Just doesn't understand much. And don't pay any attention to that if you came across it. Okay. U.S. intelligence officials are saying Russia is giving Iran intelligence that helps it target attacks against American forces in the Middle East. They're saying this is the first time they got evidence in the, 7, 8 days of the war. I think 8 days or something. What they'll do about it is absolutely nothing, I'm sure. We sent 50 fighter jets to attack the bunker of Khomeini where senior regime officials were. We don't know how good we did on this yet. It's Shabbat, so the reports are going to be pretty limited until this evening. Did we kill the son? I don't believe so. I don't believe we got him. Each plane, I believe, was carrying 2 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs. And that would have been 100 bombs. So when you get determined to destroy these underground fortresses, you destroy them. The the bombs dig in and then explode, so you just keep going by layers, and you keep getting deeper and deeper, and then you get right to the bottom of it, and it's gone. Trump, they've created a $20 billion reinsurance plan for the Straits of Hormuz. Um, I think he's going to work with some insurance companies, or if they won't cooperate the way Trump wants, he'll just insure. But I'm pretty sure he's going to work with an insurance company. Um, we'll see how it goes. The White House posted a montage that's an assortment of movie clips of actual strikes on Iran. This is not AI. This was not garbage. This was the real stuff taken probably from a lot of jets and maybe on the ground. The UN has peacekeeper soldiers, UNFIL, from Ghana in Africa. Two of them were seriously hurt in Lebanon by a missile attack. Ghanaian military says officers' mess burnt down completely after the base was hit. UNFIL investigating source of the fire. So, I mean, we know it was Hezbollah. What do we think it was? Roger Rabbit. You know. The Saudis are too scared to attack, which this child running Saudi Arabia is a jerk. Listen, this kid, the father was a billionaire and the grandfather was a billionaire. And he grew up in palaces, with tutors and anything he wanted, multiple mansions, probably literally hundreds of servants, bodyguards, whatever the kid wanted. So the kid's not normal. The kid's demented. Okay, now they're taught that they're special. They probably teach their kids that, Satan has anointed them. They're Satan bots. I don't tell you this with 99% certainty at all. I tell you this with 100% certainty. They would never maintain or stay in office if they were not Satan bots. Now, 100% they're Satan bots, okay? There's no doubt in my mind. And the kid's a lunatic, He doesn't know what he's doing. He's scared of everything. He's bouncing around. He wants to be friends with Iran. He wants to be with Trump. He wants to make a deal with Israel for normal relations. He doesn't. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't have his confidence. Okay? He doesn't know what he wants to do. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't know what he's about. He doesn't know what he can and cannot do. So he threatens Iran, and now he's trying to talk to him. So Iran is seeing him talking to them as fear, nothing but. Okay? And however bad things were for Iran, they're going to get worse unless Iran decides to go over to this, unless Saudi Arabia decides to side with Iran, which would mean throw the American troops out, get rid of all the bases in Iran. They're not going to do that. Okay, so this kid doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what to do. Trump would tell him what to do, but so would Netanyahu. But he's afraid to trust anybody. He doesn't know what to do. That's the simple explanation. And that's the real trouble Saudi Arabia has right now. The best thing they could do would be to get Iran to help them overthrow the Saudi kings. That ain't happening, though. Okay. Then they'd have to deal with Iran, which could be worse. So if they're not moving to overthrow the Saudi Arabian royal family, that would be the only answer for Saudi Arabia. Okay. Israel is set to gradually reopen the country, the airspace, initially for outbound flights starting tomorrow morning, allowing thousands of foreigners stuck in the country since the war broke out to begin flying home, and Israelis that want to leave the country can leave the country. Normally, what they'll do, they might have flights that will go right to America and Europe. They might. I don't know. What I think they will have is short hop flights to Cyprus. And then when they're in Cyprus, it's up to them to book passage to get where they want to go. Okay? The Tel Aviv Ben Gurion Airport was partially reopened on Wednesday night to allow inbound flights, and that was Israelis that were abroad on business or pleasure that want to come home. Some 120,000 Israelis were stranded abroad when the airspace was struck. The UAE was good enough to put them up in hotels at the expense of the UAE. Whether or not they paid their meals, I have no idea. Maybe, but I don't know. We estimate that there's 37,000 tourists stuck in Israel that want to get back. More than 9,000 tourists have left Israel via land borders. They could go easily to Jordan and Egypt rather easily. So we still have about 28,000 tourists here that we want to help leave. This is a problem when you got an Airbnb and you put tourists in and they get stuck in a war. You got to live with them. And what do you do if they tell you, their credit card's not working, they don't have money to pay you? You got problems with that. What do the hotels do? They're not going to throw them out in the street. The government may help. Depends. I don't know. The Ukrainians seem to have extensive experience in the use of drones with the over 3 year long war with Russia. And they're coming over to the Middle East to share information and help out with the U.S. military and probably Israel. It says to assist the U.S. and Israel, assist the U.S. and its allies, which may or may not mean Israel. I don't know. That is interesting. They probably will come to Israel. Zelensky, the one running it, is a Jew, amongst other things. Okay. Gotta check this. Somebody just sent me a voice message. I don't want to play the voice message on the air because I don't know what it says. If it's something like a prayer request, please send it as a text message. Let me tell you what's going on with oil. And it's not scary, but it looks like it's not going up like this. Okay, it's going up very, very, very slowly. All right. WTI, that's the stuff that America uses, for instance. $91 a barrel. Brent, that, for instance, is what Europe uses, 93 a barrel. Now, it's probably going to hit 100 shortly, and that's not going to do a lot. It's going to get people concerned. Speculators are going to get involved. If things keep up from there, it'll go to 120, which is about double what it was when the war started. They're using gas reserves to keep the prices down, so you're probably not going to see a problem in America and maybe Europe for a while. But the damage being done is going to continue even if there's an end in the war, because they're hitting the refineries, the ports, and the piers, and that likely will be months to reinstate, to restore it. So it's on the way, but it's not there yet. But it's being prevented artificially. Let's see how it goes. U.S. gas prices went up 30 to 35 cents in a few days. Okay, gas prices can go to $5, maybe even $6, and people will be uncomfortable, but they'll recover from that, no problem. If we hit $9, then chaos. And we're not close to that yet. The average price of gasoline as of, I think, yesterday is $3.32 a gallon, and diesel is $4.33 a gallon. Okay? They rigged the price of diesel. I remember in the 70s, there was a gas crisis, and diesel was 60 or 80 cents, and gas was $1 a gallon, and we were all freaking out. $1 a gallon, and they raised the price of diesel to match the price of regular gas. Why? It's basically simple. Never give the sucker an even break. They didn't want people getting away from making the gas companies extremely wealthy by buying diesel cars and getting better mileage and lower price fuel. So they raised the price of fuel. Nice people, right? Now, I remember I had a Volkswagen Rabbit diesel around 1980, and when I first got it, it was getting 56 miles to the gallon. 56. I had, I think, a 10-gallon tank, and it would last me close to a month. I mean, I rarely went to the gas station. Okay. Then, as a couple of years later, it went down to about 49 miles a gallon. The car got older. You would think they should be able to build a Volkswagen diesel type car today that wouldn't get 56 miles a gallon, it'd get 66, but they don't. Do you know back 100 years ago, you could check this out on YouTube. They had cars that ran on water, hydrogen. Yep. You use kerosene or some other kind of fuel to boil the water in your car, and it would make gas or steam or something like that, and you'd run. I saw the cars, and the amount of gas or kerosene you needed to keep the fuel burning was nothing. Like, you put a gallon in there, and it probably we run around with it for a few weeks. They sure got rid of that, didn't they? Oh yeah, yeah. The last thing they need is somebody saying, "Hey, I got to fuel my car up," and taking a 5-gallon jerry can, putting it in the bathtub and filling it up, and then putting it in the car. Oh yeah, that's just what they want to see. Then they'd have to raise your water prices. You'd be getting water bills of $500 a month. See, Satan bought some miserable, despicable scum of the earth. That's why they're going to get cut off, because they do things like this, and they enjoy it. Oh yeah, watch. Time is real short. Now, supposedly, again, I'm not dead bones positive on this. The Bush aircraft carrier is supposed to be coming to the Middle East. What we do know is they told the Bush aircraft carrier to get ready, prepare to go to the Middle East, but they never actually pushed the button and said, "Come to the Middle East." So somebody was saying that the "come to the Middle East" order is issued, but it's not verifiable. Okay, there's no official statement from the government, so I don't know if it's true or not. In the same regard, the 82nd Airborne, there's a rumor that the 82nd Airborne has been told to deploy to the Middle East. These are the guys that call themselves, I think, death from above, or it could be the 101st. I don't. These are not special forces. They're one small step below special forces, which means they're more infantry and they're not given a lot of expensive equipment. And what really happened is they were told to stop their training maneuvers suddenly, and it appears that they might actually be getting sent to the Middle East. Now, I don't know if it's 5,000 or 25,000. I don't know. These are soldiers that would be good at holding a position or attacking a position where there's another army. The Green Berets can do this, and they have done this, but they don't always use them for this. The Navy SEALs, the Recon Marines, and Delta, and they don't do this. If they're going to stand still and fight a battle and hold territory, they're going to ultimately get overrun because they're running around in small groups. maybe if they're on a big run, they'll have 10 or 12 guys. Half that would be more typical. How long would it take for them to be overcome? Two platoons would do it. 50 guys against them, it would be goners. And they call it airstrikes and artillery and missiles. Doesn't go well. They got to hit and run. They got to stay very stealthy. Now, America, in my opinion, has made a big mistake again. The Gerald Ford aircraft carrier has been seen transiting the Suez Canal, and it's positioned in the Red Sea. Now, it might not be what they're telling us. It might be they went through the Suez Canal, they're passing down the Red Sea, they're going to go down there under Saudi Arabia, come up in the Indian Ocean where the other aircraft carrier is. Now that makes sense to me. Keeping it in the Red Sea to do missile takedowns from the Houthis, they wouldn't use an aircraft carrier for that. So I doubt the aircraft carrier is going to remain in the Red Sea, but you never know. They did that in the past with two different carriers, and they both got hit. Planes got destroyed, and I don't think they're doing that. Transiting the Red Sea, yeah. I just don't see the value in them putting it down there. And it could be very possible that the Ford aircraft carrier is moving to be with the Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier, and the Gerald Ford carrier is going to come in and position itself near Haifa. Very, very likely. But I can't get a firm confirmation that the Bush aircraft carrier group is definitely on the way to the Middle East. The Navy won't say anything. I think it's possible. Maybe they want to keep it quiet until it shows up in the Middle East. I don't know. I don't know. It makes sense, though. And what would it be doing? Well, it's going to be supporting, the war. I mean, it's going to be attacking targets, They're up to 31 Iranian naval vessels sunk. 31. I don't think they have much left. The go-fast boats, yeah. This is weird, and I don't know if this is ever going to really work. The Lebanese justice minister named Adel or Adi Nasser has announced that he will request the arrest of Hezbollah's Secretary General Naim Qassem. We'll see if it ever happens, okay? That means he's going to pit his government against Hezbollah, and his own military could likely side with Hezbollah against the Lebanese government. They're 60% Shiite Muslims, so they got a big problem. And Israel is just not going to sit there and let the stupid idiots in Lebanon play this game. well, it's Hezbollah, and it's not us. What do you want from us? Well, idiots, we're not letting you give safe haven to Hezbollah, so we're going to go in and blow up everything we need to get rid of them. And if we're blowing up your country, tough. You should have got rid of Hezbollah, you idiots. Don't tell us that it's not your fault, you morons. Who runs Lebanon? Well, since you say you run it, it won't do anything. That's why we put boots on the ground to get it done for you, because you're such cowardly idiots. Lebanon government, a bunch of morons. Their economy is bad. They don't know what to do. They lied to us. I told you they were going to lie to us and never do it with Hezbollah. They never did. They just keep getting more time extensions and this and that. And Trump's keeping his mouth shut about it while Israel pounds him. He's not joining in, but he's just letting them do. He doesn't care what we do to him. So this is a bad thing for us right now because it's running in conjunction with Iran, whose missile launching capability is severely diminished, but we keep hearing the explosions and missiles come in, so it makes one feel like or think that it's the same as having these psychopaths in Iran attacking us. Iran is playing their little games, and it gets worse for them every day. This is what Trump said. Trump on Iran. Their army is gone. I don't agree with that. Their navy is gone, mostly, except they got perhaps up to 3,000 go fast boats. So let's go slower on that. Air Force is wiped out, true. All 32 ships at the okay, it's not 31, it's 32 at the bottom of the ocean. They're on their third set of leaders, yes. And other than that, they're doing very well. Trump says all he's going to talk about with them now is unconditional surrender. When they started decimating the oil of the other Arab oil producing countries and hitting the American bases, that was it for Trump. Trump realizes that you got to just wipe these people out. That's it. They're lunatics. The Iranian opposition sources, these are the protesters that hate the government of Iran, right? Are saying senior Iranian regime officials are starting to dress like women to avoid being targeted by Israel and U.S. forces. Now, this is saying that they're not cross-dressing as transvestites. Well, they are transvestites, but it's supposedly not sexually inspired. It's inspired to keep them from getting assassinated. So apparently, the Quran has no citations about dressing up as a member of the opposite sex, but it probably does, but they don't care. We could look that up. Let's see. Why even bother? I don't care about the Quran. It's a joke. The Quran. Forget the Quran. Nonsense. Okay. There is a school of thought that the 82nd Airborne, the training has stopped. So the troops are in fresh condition. And, at a moment's notice, they could get activated. They claim themselves on being able to deploy with 18 hours notice. Now, deploy means they get on a plane and fly over to the Middle East. They don't get to the Middle East and deploy and everything in 18 hours. So what that probably involves is they keep their duffel bags ready, or their backpacks, whatever, and they have various weapons all ready to go, and they just walk on the plane, parachutes and all. Will they actually parachute them in? They try not to. It's dangerous. You get a risk of enemies shooting at you from aircraft, from helicopters, planes, and from the ground. So then you get injuries. It's better if they land on a plane. Okay. Now we'll get into the discussion of, can Iran be toppled? In other words, a regime change, which is clearly the goal of Trump. It also clearly is not what ultimately happens in Bible prophecy. The whole country gets destroyed, devastated so bad, everybody got to leave, and they scatter into every country of the world where the sword follows them. And it likely includes parts of Iraq and maybe even parts of Syria. It might be all of Iraq too. So, Iran is an extremely mountainous country, and they have troops that are deployed all over the country that are in mountains and caves, and they're fortifying themselves, and they've got all kinds of heavy weapons, and they intend to control the real estate that way. So if the protesters are given weapons and they take over a city, they run the risk of Iranians deploying against them from nearby, maybe within 30 or 50 miles, and coming with tanks and personnel carriers that are armored and, killing them. And then they can reclaim the land back for the mullahs. It's a rough job, guys. It's it's even beyond a rough job. I'm not sure Trump really understands this. He's had it explained to him, but I don't think he really understands it. The amount of casualties he's going to get is going to be 25 times greater than what he's getting now. Now let's get into the analysis. Historically, air attacks will rarely ever topple a government. It can happen, but the government, they're still alive, and they're going to go back and continue. Let's take a look at recent military history, not the 1600s or anything like that. Okay. Based on that, there's precious little evidence that just the air power by itself is going to collapse a regime. you can destroy the infrastructure of the country. You can destroy military bases and even kill the leaders, but the government usually survives and reorganizes. Now, if you use your power to destroy everything, the water, the sewage, the electricity, the railroads, the highways, the ports, the piers, the airports, shopping centers, houses, apartment buildings, public transportation, then they got to leave. Let me see what I got going on here.
Is that you?
Yeah, I'm ignoring it. Then they got to leave. And that's one way to do it that would meet prophecy, okay? But it's, the people are really going to suffer. I mean, does it mean that this is not going to happen? No, it doesn't mean that. No, it can happen. It really can happen. But I don't think Trump wants world opinion on his head like that. So let's not go there. But what they're trying to do is not going to happen unless it's a temporary interim solution and then the problem returns and then they get wiped out. The end of it is going to be the land will be uninhabitable, like I just described. You can't stay there. There's nothing left of the place. That's the end. Okay? Now, when and how we get there can be debated. All right. Now, putting boots on the ground definitely accelerates our path towards the devastation of the land. Okay? Boots on the ground come into a city and the city is going to get destroyed. All right. You can't occupy any city, village, town, mountain, region with just air power. You just can't do it. Can you support a much smaller ground force with a lot of air power? Yes. But you need the ground force. You can have an internal overthrow of the government. And they're setting that up. The police are pretty much their headquarters. Their police stations have been blown up extensively. So how do they work? How do they take prisoners in? How do they gather? How do they go to meetings? How do they put their uniform on? See, they're screwed up. And also a lot of IRGC and military bases have been hit. So they're in turmoil, and that enables the revolution to proceed much better. Okay, let's go through a few examples. Iraq, 1991, the Gulf War. Massive bombing crippled Saddam Hussein's military. Okay, his tanks got taken out, his soldiers, he was in bad shape. But his regime managed to stay in power right up until the 2003 ground invasion when he got captured. So he stayed in power like 12 years after that, okay? Roughly 12. Now, in that particular war, there was, I think, 6 aircraft carriers there. And they still had battleships. We had battleships there, too, with the 16-inch guns pounding them from the water. I mean, we really put a lot of people there, like 1 million, Yeah. I spoke to a guy I ran into on a cruise in '99. He was a a tank driver in the army. I guess he was like a master sergeant or something. He retired, and he was just in that war several years before. He retired a couple of years before, so he was still talking about the war. And I picked his brains a little bit. And he said, well, they told us that we wouldn't have a big fight ahead of us, but we did, because he had like an IRGC, but he had a different name, Republican Guard, I think, something like that. He said they told us they weren't any good, and he says, boy, they were really good. They were really good, well-groomed fighters, well-trained, and they gave us a lot of problems. So, they had to come back and finish it in 2003. Okay? They never really went on heavy, cleaned them out. They left them. Libya, 1986, U.S. airstrike. They bombed Libya heavily. Gaddafi remained in power for decades after. You can't leave him in power. Now, you kill Khomeini, you kill Khomeini's replacement and his replacement and his replacement. It's still leaving them in power. You got to get rid of the mullahs. Now, can you do it with a revolution of the citizens? Well, it'd be hard, in my opinion, but with American air support and arming the civilians, it would become a lot easier. Serbia, 1999, NATO bombing. The air attacks pressured the government, but the analysts believe the threat of a ground invasion helped force concessions. So, the Iranians don't care about a ground invasion. They welcome it, okay? They're set up for it. Does that mean the Americans are going to lose? No, not at all. It just means it's going to be ugly. What would really need to take place to knock off a regime, like topple the Iranians? Well, you need one or more of these things. Usually more than one, but one maybe. A ground invasion. Number two, an internal revolution or a coup, which is the protesters getting armed and saying, now we're the government. Military collapse inside the country, and we're getting close to that. That would be like they, just run away, take their uniforms off and run away. And the other thing you could have is a defection of the elite. Now, we saw this in Syria. Bashar Assad took off and went to Moscow with billions of dollars. And his regime toppled, and a new one came in with boots on the ground. You got it? Okay. So where are we at now? Well, we don't know where we're at now. Trump seems to be well aware that he has to bring boots on the ground, but there's boots on the ground and there's boots on the ground. And let me explain. You could go in with 25 or 40,000 soldiers to help the protesters control Tehran and some airports and ports and, stuff like that. Set up a TV station and open up one or two airports, things like that. But you're still fighting actively against them in many areas. If Iran gets, bombed another 2 weeks, the way it's been going, I would think that you're looking at something like, 15 or 20 years to rebuild Iran. I'm not kidding. They're blowing so much stuff up. And what about an economy? I don't even know how you'd have to start over. Iran's system is set up to be hard to collapse with just air attacks. Air attacks are planes and missiles and drones. They have multiple layers. They got the regular army, they got the IRGC, they got the Basij, which are heavily volunteered people for internal security, they got the police. So they got a multi-layer setup that's weakened now, in some cases busted up seriously, but they're still there. On top of that, they got an intelligence service. Admittedly, their headquarters has been blown up. So, I mean, when we say they have things, yeah, they have things, but they're discombobulated, seriously. So they're nothing like what they were, but they're set up for this. When you go around and do targeted assassinations on these mentally ill people, they've already got the next one lined up, and the next one takes over. The targeted assassinations are not highly effective. They're not. They are effective, but they're not highly effective. If Trump doesn't execute any kind of ground attack and just leaves in, well, he's talking 4 to 6 weeks, so he's talking another, 5 weeks or so. If he just decides that that's it, let's just leave Iran and go home and let the chips fall where they may, they'll make a resurgence. I don't have any doubt about that. They'll make a resurgence. So what he's trying to do is use the protesters to do it. They'll form militias with these protesters, armed with superficial training, but they might have special forces come in and administer these militias and help train them and stuff like that. And then they've got to convince the military of Iran that they have no way to go. That you got to throw the towel in. Now, if this doesn't work, what would probably result would be rather biblical. It would be gradual, though. More and more airports would be destroyed. Then the trains would be destroyed. The idea behind this is not to cripple the civilians. It's to cripple the military. We don't want them moving any equipment, any personnel, anything. So we start, eventually the trains go. First you hit train stations. Then you start hitting trains while they're in the station. Then you might want to blow up train overpasses and routes and stuff like that, where they go over caverns and they're all the way up in the air. You blow that like it's like a bridge. You blow that. Then you're going to be down to taking out communications in the country, and then you eventually are going to want to take out electricity in the country. And, now the country starts falling apart. How do they receive food? Who wants to bring food in? And, you got 90 something million people there. Gaza had 2.5 million. Okay. So if you're going to do, you know, humanitarian aid by truck, okay, you would be looking at bringing in like 4,000 or 5,000 trucks a day. And the roads are gone. How does that work? Where do the trucks come from? You see? Now, if the other countries, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, Saudi, Jordan, get disgusted with Iran and start attacking them, which several have said they will do, the ones that I don't think said they're going to attack is Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan, and Oman. But maybe Oman changed their mind and said they would attack. I'm not sure. The big ones that are going to attack are Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. They could destroy the oil. They already started. We already have. It'll get worse. What does worse look like? The oil refineries get it, and then the oil wells get it. The oil wells got those beams on there, and they go like this, and they get the oil out of the ground. They go, and the refineries go, and the ports and the piers go. Trump's going to sit there and say, what am I doing here? There's no prize. Let's just end this quickly and get out of here. And then he could go on a demolishing campaign. What else could happen? Well, the Iranians can attack these oil producing countries. If they attack Iran, Iran could start missile attacking them day and night. Those are short, well, they're really mid-range missiles. They, if you could go 190, 200 miles, you're going to get most of them pretty good. 300 miles maybe would be better. They have those. And they just start attacking the Middle Eastern countries badly. Okay. They badly attack it. And what does that do? Well, it ends it, And then the people have to leave. See, they may find out that the better solution is just to destroy the infrastructure, and then the military and the people all have to leave the country for reasons of no transportation, no power, water shortages, food shortages, and that's it. That's all you need. If you can't get rid of the military, Trump and the allies are not going to put together 3 million man army and go in there with 3,500 tanks, 1,400 aircraft, 59 naval vessels. They're not going to do it. They're just not. I'd be shocked if it ever happened, but they're not going to do it. And that doesn't give you any guarantee that you're going to save the country either. They're just not going to assemble anything like that. Okay? Trump's going to be scared because he can't trust North Korea, China, and Russia. He's not going to want to put a lot. It's one thing to have 100,000 soldiers in the Middle East or something, right? But it's another thing to put 600,000 soldiers in the Middle East from America only, and then try to collect more and more from these other countries. And they'd never hit 3 million. They'd never get it up there. That's pretty much where they should be to take out a country that big. 1 million would be too minimal. Maybe 2 million might almost work. So Trump could wind up destroying it just because there's nothing else to be done with it. You got to look at the IRGC probably has 700, 900 bases around the country where they have small clusters of soldiers with weapons to prevent an enemy from invading and traveling around the country. And if they put them in caves and inside of mountains and underground, you're not going to bomb them out. It's a serious mess. And I mean a real serious mess. And we still have not stopped them from launching missiles and drones into Israel and the Arab countries in the Middle East. So you're not even at that point yet, but it's diminished substantially. And then we got to deal with this Hezbollah, and that's annoying. It's not that we can't do it, we could do it, but it's just a pain in the neck. And who is responsible for this Hezbollah but Iran? So we're more and more convinced that you got to get rid of Iran. And we're working avidly on it. And Iran is going to go. It's in prophecy. But it's not what they're trying to do is more than likely never going to work. It's not such a simple thing to, get an overthrow and set up a new government. It's not with them. People saying greetings to me, thank you, and prayers for me, thank you. Yeah, we do have a glorious future on the way. Don't kid yourself. Super glorious. I live in Israel for many years. I'm broadcasting from Israel. Why are you saying answer me? And I just answered you. Okay. I can't stay in the chat and answer everybody's questions and do the broadcast at the same time. I got to go back and forth. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I think we're pretty good shape here. See, guys, prophetically, we're in things are changing. We're in recompenses. Look how we polished off Hamas, but we don't occupy the land yet. We're not in redemption yet, but they got punished. Okay, Hezbollah is getting punished along with Lebanon. Syria got punished. Okay, they got the people living in Syria got a new regime. There was a lot of problems there. Iraq is slightly being punished. Iran is being heavily punished right now. You got to understand how much damage has been done to that place. Bad. Okay. The Houthis were punished, but their day will come. And Yemen's going down with them. Yemen's playing the same game that Lebanon's playing. Oh, they're independent. We can't control them. We're afraid of them. They're too strong. So they're giving safe harbor to a terrorist organization. So they're going to get it. Egypt's going to get it. We know that. They're going to go into a 40-year diaspora. They're going to have a cruel leader. They're going to really suffer. And they're going to run away in terror from the Israelis, which is likely redemption. Maybe they get it on the day of vengeance, probably, in part anyway. So Lebanon, they're all getting it. But the nations surrounding us round about, this go round, is the nations touching us. Now we have separate prophecies for Iraq and Edom, which is Yemen, and also for Jordan, which is Moab, and North Jordan is Ammon, and they make it. Iraq should get it with Iran as Elam. The other countries, it's interesting. They might get it from Iran and be completely busted up. I don't know. I don't see any signs of that make me think that all of these countries are going to get severely broken up. But I don't know. Maybe, but I'm not expecting it. They're squatting on Israel's land. The whole thing's a conspiracy to ridicule Jehovah and make it be that Jehovah's prophecy about the land never comes to pass. And it's not even a prophecy, it's stronger than that. Okay, and I'll read it to you. It's in Genesis 15. What verse? That's a good question. We'll find it. Let's jump in around verse 15, see where we're at. It's actually maybe 18. It's 18. In the same day, Jehovah made a covenant. That's the word in Hebrew is a brit. What do they call the New Testament? Brit Chadashah. Chadashah is new. Brit is covenant, a new covenant. Okay, so he made a covenant. Okay, this is very strong. Okay, he made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed. Now remember, Peter told us the promises were made to seed of one, not many, and that seed was Christ. So if you're in Yeshua HaMashiach, you're the seed. Okay? Unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt, that's the Nile, unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Okay? Now, that piece of land is about 100 times bigger than the land we have now. Starting in Africa, it goes with Egypt, but just to the right or the east of the Nile, not to the left or the west, the east. So that's a piece of Egypt, parts of Sudan and South Sudan, Uganda, Kenya, Djibouti, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Somalia, Somaliland. I think that covers it. Then we jump over the water, and Saudi Arabia is ours. Yemen will be destroyed. Nobody's going to live there. There's the land we have now. Then there's Jordan. A lot of that gets destroyed. Of course, it's Moab. Ammon makes it. Then you've got Lebanon, which is ours. And then you've got Turkey, 2/3 of Turkey, which is to the right or to the left or the west of the, oh, wait a minute, I'm getting confused here. The Euphrates, yeah, it's to the left of the Euphrates River. The west becomes ours, which is about 2/3 of Turkey, a big piece of Iraq, a big piece of Syria, and we also get Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman. Okay, we don't go over the Persian Gulf. As far as I can tell, we don't do that. Okay. So when you add all this together, it's about 100 times bigger than what we have now. It's a guess, a rough guess. Okay. And the nations don't want to see that. And they don't want to see any prophecy get fulfilled. Okay? Now, is it possible that Satan doesn't want any wars, but certain people have cut certain leaders off from communicating with the unclean spirits, and they're going out and making mistakes on their own and going to war? You decide. Ask the Lord if you want, you know. We'll be doing fighting after redemption. It's not all going to happen at redemption or leading up to redemption. It'll happen afterwards too. The Lord, I think, is using America to get rid of Iran, and then that's going to wind up causing the attack on the daughter of Babylon, I believe. Trump, as you can tell, is getting a very big head. Very, 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 very big head. And he's, running around the way he talks. It's like he's a Caesar. These Muslim nations, we don't know yet how that's going to end, but it might end in a way that they're so mad at Trump, there's no words for it, and other Muslim nations are going to get after Trump too, like Indonesia, Malaysia, many of them. They're going to want to get a piece of Trump and attack America. Not just China, Russia, and North Korea. So this could be Trump's Waterloo, but he doesn't know it. It's amazing how much more I see of people recognizing Jeremiah 49, Elam, as where we're at now. And I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do that. It's safe for them because they don't see everything. And it's patriotic because it shows a victory for the enemies of Iran. And, they could like that. They're Satan bought false believers, and they're not in favor of Iran, who doesn't want to have anything to do with Bible people. Satan bot or no Satan bot would kill them if they kept it up, you know. Gog and Magog, we're not ready for. That's down the road, guys. Listen, I'll just clear this one up for you because I know a lot of the false teachers are really loving to teach you Ezekiel 38:39 is coming. And it's not. It's going to come, but it's not yet here. And there's a few things I could easily show you quickly. That will make you absolutely understand why it's not for now. But I need a quick break, and I'll be right back. The people that are teaching Jeremiah 49 is the destruction of Iran, also Iraq, and perhaps parts of Syria. Maybe the part of Syria where the Kurds live, who are going to join in against Iran, I think. No. They should also teach that we're not close to Gog and Magog, which is their favorite Schofield doctrine. If you read Ezekiel 38, verse 5, it lists Persia as one of the countries attacking. And that's very consistent with Jeremiah 49, starting in verse 34, because it tells you at the end that Elam makes a comeback at the latter days. And this Ezekiel 38, verse 5, shows you the actual comeback. Okay. We can start reading here, Ezekiel 38, verse 8. After many days, thou shalt be visited in the latter years. Thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered back from the sword and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel. Which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, the heathen nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Well, you have to be rather stupid and a Satan bot at the same time to teach this today. That we're brought back from the sword. Come on, you got to be an idiot to teach this, and you got to be very gullible to believe it for being for today. Verse 9, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land. Thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. That doesn't sound like today. That's an invasion. Thus saith Adonai Yehovah. You see, Zechariah 12 is not an invasion. It's a siege, a surrounding, a blockade type thing. Maybe war from the blockade too, but not an invasion. Thus saith Jehovah, that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up into the land of unwalled villages. No, there's tons of walls around Israel now. Huge walls, miles and miles long. I will go to them that are at rest. I don't know a single Israeli that's at rest these days, do you? That dwells safely. That sounds like today, right? All of them dwelling without walls, not the case today, and having neither bars nor gates, not the case today. To take a spoil and to take a prey. turn thy hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, so that we've already gone into redemption, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, so we've already had the next great exodus, which is associated with redemption, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. Now, you got about 30% of Israel at the poverty line, guys. No. Sheba, that's Sheba and Dedan, Saudi Arabia. And the merchants of Tarshish, probably around Lebanon, with all the young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, speaking to the invaders, art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? Out of Israel today? No, I don't think so. The people are poor here. Therefore, Son of man, prophesy and say unto God, thus saith Adonai Jehovah, in that day, when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, which has not yet happened, shalt thou not know. And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, Gog, before their eyes. They're going to get killed, the bad ones. Thus saith Adonai Jehovah, art thou he of whom I have spoken in old time by my servants the prophets of Israel, which prophesied in those days many years that I would bring thee against them? And it shall come to pass at the same time, when Gog shall come against the land of Israel, saith Jehovah, saith Adonai Jehovah, that my fury shall come up in my face. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken, surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel. so that the fishes of the sea and the fowls of the heaven and the beasts of the field and all creeping things that creep upon the earth, and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence, and the mountain shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground. And I will call for a sword against him through all thy mountains, saith Jehovah. See, that's not Zechariah 12. Zechariah 12, the enemies get burned up. The two witnesses do it. Saith Adonai Jehovah, every man's sword shall be against his brother. Now, we are seeing the Muslims killing each other in the Middle East. Iran is the ones dishing it out, and the other oil-producing countries squatting on our land are receiving the punishment. And it likely will go the other way, too. I mean, it is, because America and Israel is smacking Iran, but these countries are ultimately probably going to join in against Iran, too. Don't think Iran has any secret special weapons to be used on us. If they had them, they would have whipped them out by the first or second day of the war to stop it. Remember, they've got many, many years of rebuilding already ahead of them. Every day it's adding years on. And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, saith Adonai Jehovah. Every man's sword shall be against his brother. And I will plead against him with pestilence, not really seeing much of that, and blood. And we saw some pestilence in the Sahara recently, locusts. And I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people are with him, and an overflowing rain and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. This stuff we're not seeing, and it's not in the Zechariah 12 prophecy as I could understand it. Maybe some of the people get burned up from Jehovah, and that could be fire and brimstone, but the rain and the hail I don't see. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many heathen nations, and they shall know that I am Jehovah. Okay. So this is not for today. You got to have the great falling away for Israel. And before you have the great falling away, you got to have Israel restored. Now, if you want to read more about these events, I can tell you where they are in your Bible, and you'll if you go there, you'll say, "Oh yeah, they're really there," and then you'll say, "Why doesn't the church teach it?" Well, draw your own conclusions. You go to Ezekiel chapters 8 to 11. 8 to 11. You'll see it all right there. Then go to Zechariah 14. You'll see it all there. So you read Ezekiel 8 to 11, you'll even read the abomination of desolation in there. It's the abomination of jealousy, it's called there. It's got different words, but it's the same thing. And it's actually in the northern gate of the next temple that connects the inner and outer courtyards. And you can read it there. It's easy. Okay. And if you want to read about the beast attacking and all that, read Daniel 11. It's there in Daniel 11. And it's nothing like what the church makes it out to be. It's not that big a deal, you know. Don't let them scare you with their Schofieldism and stuff like that. Schofield's not a man of God. Neither is Darby, nor Ryrie, or any of these jerks that wrote those study Bibles. You know, what's their statement? Oh, you can't understand the Word of God without me helping you, and I'll make a study Bible and help you. That's ridiculous. So anybody teaching you that we're headed into Gog and Magog is such a dumbbell. They don't even know what's going on. And the people that listen to him are worse. That's not God's elect. Those are evil goofballs that just want to hurt God's people. These are idiots. These are the tares in Matthew 13, soon to go. That's who they are, the tares. They're going to be dead soon. They're not getting away with anything. They're not getting away with anything. They think they could beat God. They don't understand the 2,000-year punishment, Hosea 6, 1 and 2. If they understood that, they would understand they're doomed for eternal destruction. And they won't believe that. They don't want to believe that. They're not going to let themselves believe that. It's not going to work for them. Okay. It's starting to get sun outside. Looks like it'll clear up. Hopefully that'll be the end of the rain. It's just terribly cold when that happens. See, we're used to functioning outside at 90, 91 degrees, you know, even 93. And you drop us down to 50, 55 rather, you know, that's a big drop in temperature. That's very, very cold for us. Okay. When it hits 98, 100 degrees, you see people get off the streets pretty much. But when it's 90, 91, there's quite a few people out in the street. We're not that worried about. When you get to 92, 93, more and more people get off the street, you know. When you get to the high 90s, for sure, you know. Got jets, not running around. So we did not have any red alerts last night in my area, which was nice. I did hear we did hear a red alert once, but nothing happened. I think no, that was the day before. No, we didn't have red alerts, but I heard in nearby communities lots of takedowns, and that was probably from Hezbollah using junkier missiles. So we're going to go in boots on the ground. We already are in Lebanon a little bit. We're going to go in heavier. Is Iran going to put boots on the ground and start maybe trying to take over other countries like Kuwait and Bahrain? And I don't know. I don't think so. I give that a very low probability, very, very low. But could happen, but I'm not looking for it. What I think happens from here is Iran just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Targeted assassinations are definitely on the agenda, which creates more turmoil. A bird hit my window or something. I don't know what he was trying to do. He's all right. Uh, not a pet bird, an outside bird. I don't know what the character's up to. There was a bird a few months ago before the winter that moved into a tree near where I have a hose that I would use to get water for the dogs outside. So I go over there, and in the evening, he would go to sleep in the tree, and then I would come over there and I would try to talk nice to him. I didn't want to hurt him or anything or scare him, but he would get all messed up and flustered and fly away. And that happened about 10 times, and then he stopped coming back. It didn't happen every day. It happened, but he eventually said, "Well, I got to move and find another tree." But it was a low tree. He should have got another tree. But that's what they do when the sun goes down. They don't like do well with that. So they go and they find a place to roost, and they go into a tree where there's a lot of leaves and branches and stuff. So a cat's not going to be able to easily get up there. He's just got to go through a maze of stuff, and then all he's got to do is jump off and start flying. So he'll either hear the cat or feel the cat by the tree moving, and then he just takes off. So when I would walk over there and brush against the tree, it would scare him. He would think I was a predator, poor guy. But, you know, uh, it was too low of a tree anyway. He should have got a much higher tree. Cats don't really like going up high trees. He was going up about 6 feet, 7 feet, maybe 7, 8 feet. A cat might try that, but it was full of branches and fruit and pomelos. It wasn't an easy climb for him, for a cat. So the bigger trees, even on our property, they could go up 25 feet and 20 feet. It'd be much safer up there. You know. So when the sun starts to go down, they eat, and they're very active when the sun starts to go down. And then before it gets dark, they roost and they'll talk and make noise and sing, and then they go to sleep. And then as soon as you get first light in the morning, where they can see enough to fly, they take off and start going to eat. You know, and you usually wind up getting about 12 hours rest that way. So they're most active when they wake up in the morning, and they're most active when it's the evening. They get active because that's to drive them uh, to go eat something before the night. So the late afternoon and early evening, they're out eating, and then they go back and roost and stay there for the night. And then when the first light comes, they take off. Also, if they're in a dense tree, they don't have to worry very much about the rain, because not that much rain is going to hit them, because they got feet and feet and feet of branches and leaves over them, between them and the rain, so they really don't get wet. They might get a few drops here and there, but not much. Uh, Now, if first light comes and it's raining, what do? Well, I don't know. They might try waiting, but they got to eat. So eventually they'll eat. I don't know how they do it. I have to study that. I don't know. If it's a windy downpour, I don't think they'll eat. They'll wait till that breaks up. It's not good for them, the winters. It's hard on them. Uh, the hot weather gets hard on them too. They just get themselves in the branches in the shade, and the leaves got water in them, so they tend to be cooler. So they stay pretty cool compared to being outside in the sun. You know they they just stay there, and that's it. Then they take off. Uh, some of the tougher birds, like the parrot type birds, if some cat tries coming after them in a tree and gets a little bit close on them, they can hurt the cat while the cat tries to grab them. They'll claw the cat and they'll bite the cat with their nice big beak that they could effortlessly crack Brazil nuts and walnuts with without much effort, and that would be the cat's head. So, cat's got a problem with a big bird. Um, you don't really see if a cat's going to get a bird, it's usually the bird's on the ground and the cat gets to drop on the bird. That would normally be what happens. Not going to go up in the tree at night and go hunting for birds up there. And the birds at night, they don't get active, right? They hole up and hide in the tree. They don't want to go out and run around. Other kinds of animals come out. We got hedgehogs running around here, cats. Um, you got dogs, of course. And, yeah, I don't know what else you get, but there's occasionally snakes around here. Um, Occasionally scorpions, but scorpions are pretty unusual. Normally, you don't see them much. You gotta be careful you don't get crickets in your house because they keep making mating calls. The other crickets and the scorpions call that a meal ticket, and they track the mating call to find the cricket and kill it and eat it. So if the crickets sneak in your house, you got to be careful because the stupid scorpions will come in the house and go after the cricket. So you gotta, and you can't find the crickets once they get in your house. So you got to keep your house pretty secure with screens and door closure. You could have a screen door, but it's got to be closed so the scorpion can't find a way in the house. But they're not out to get you. If they come in the house, you got a problem. You pretty much got to get them before they hide in your house or something. Um, you don't want to try to step on them because they could get that stinger on you. You could hit them with something like another shoe or a shovel. There's a lot of things you could do to kill them. They're not that dangerous to kill. The most people get bit because they either step on the scorpion without shoes on, or maybe they got sandals on and they don't see it, or they step near it or step on it, and the thing gets scared and throws a stinger into you to get you to get away from them. That's all he's trying to do. They don't normally go after you unless you're messing with them. They don't bother you. I don't know if cats bother with them. I think they ignore them. I don't think cats bother with them. I don't think the thing could do much to a healthy cat. The cat's way too agile and fast for them. Couldn't do anything to him. The cat would probably start swatting it with his claws and his paw and try to stun it and then bite it or something. But I don't think they bother with them. They just stay out of their way. Cats don't consider that their food. Just ignore it. The cats around here mostly are eating garbage. That's what keeps the cat community going into the garbage. Big public garbage dens. That's what they work on more than anything. Um, People feed them, um, and we got large communities of cats running around. Right now, not that many, but we got them. They come in and they try to open our garbage and make a mess. If they get the garbage can open, then they try to pull the garbage out and get it on the floor. And it's in plastic bags, rip it open and eat. So we try to put weights on the garbage. It's a plastic can, a big can. You push a pedal and the top opens. So they don't push the pedal or anything, but they try to get it open. And I find if you take like a broom and lay it across the top of the garbage can, that messes with their head. They don't know how to deal with the broom, with the stick and everything. So it makes enough problems for them. I don't think they bother. But if they get in, they make a mess. They make a real mess. They come around here because the birds drop their seed, their food, and other birds eat it. I don't think cats eat seeds though, but I don't know. Maybe the other birds are attractive to them because they're on the floor eating seeds, and the cats try to get the birds, but I've never seen any sign of the cat getting the birds. Never saw that. The dogs hate the cats, and if they see a cat come on the property, they go after the cat full charge. And they don't get the cats. The cats are pretty agile. They just jump up on something uh, and go for elevation. But the cat's got to be on their toes. The dogs don't get a drop on them. But I never saw the dogs get the cat yet. They scare the daylights out of the cat, but I've never seen them get one. Uh, so they usually come around at night. They know the dogs are asleep at night, and they'll come around in the middle of the night. They do it to everybody's garbage, not just me, everybody, and uh, that's what keeps them going. That's how they survive. Um, some people have pet cats. They have pet cats. Okay, so um, prophecy is getting fulfilled, and we're moving closer and closer to redemption. And when the daughter of Babylon gets it, I mean, big time, I believe that's redemption, where you're going to hear the trumpet from heaven, and you're going to see Yeshua appear in the clouds, seated on the right hand of Father God, Jehovah. And that's when the everlasting life comes, and that's when the redemption begins. Um, and we'll see the moon turn to blood before that, and the sun goes dark and the moon turns to blood. Now, that's a one time event. I know the church idiots, those Satan bots that don't know their left hand from their right hand, talk to you like there's already been 80 or 90 blood moons. Well, to confuse the people, they've taken to calling harvest moons, amber moons, a blood moon. There's nothing as stupid as that, but they do it, and people are gullible and believe it. They write books about it. It's a one off event, and the moon will appear to be blood, okay? That color, not a golden amber harvest moon. That's absurd, but people believe it. You'd be surprised how many people believe it. It's shocking, you know. Uh, so Trump and Netanyahu were quite a pair. And let's watch Trump build up his ground forces. We're in phase 2 now. And, I'm still reading that there's occasional anti aircraft attacks against American and Israeli planes. Not that it's successful, but they try. So they still have anti aircraft systems working. So they must have gotten so many systems, man. So they keep getting deactivated, but they're still out there. Um, as you can see, we've gone through the whole broadcast without any red alerts, so it's much better. And what we do get is Hezbollah, and they're annoying, more than really dangerous. They're annoying. I mean, it can be dangerous, but our anti-missile systems are quite effective, so um, we get them down. Again, it just takes several